This morning has already been full of a lot of great information, and we still have a lot more to go. It's now time for our second batch of lightning rounds. So now that you kind of see how this goes, you've got to really have your ears perked up and ready to go. This round will focus on how vision, leadership, risks, and persistence have resulted in the revitalization of 4 of Oklahoma City's special districts. Here to share about the revitalization of Automobile Alley, please welcome the board chairman of Historic Automobile Alley, Anthony McDermott.
Thanks, Judy. All right, we're on. The Board of Automobile Alley is a board of advocacy made up of building owners, business owners, and stakeholders that are not necessarily located in the district but have interests in the district. The area bounded, or the district known as Automobile Alley, is represented on this slide. It stretches from Broadway on the west to I-235 on the east. Thank you for the help. 13th on the north and 4th on the south. We are a district. We are truly a mixed-use district. And as you'll see as we roll through the slides, we're not an emerging district anymore. We are really an established district that has everything from retail to restaurants to businesses and housing. Automobile Alley is worth doing a little history revision to understand our brand and where we came from and why we were called Automobile Alley. In 1907, when Oklahoma became a state, there were 5 companies that sold cars in Oklahoma. By the 20s, the number of automobile dealers in Oklahoma City alone had grown from 70 to 76, 50 of which were located on Broadway, hence the term Automobile Alley. In the 50s, pictures of Automobile Alley showed a tremendous amount of activity. It was Highway 77. You could go on to Broadway, north to Nebraska, south to Brownsville, Texas, and it was a tremendously busy place. The 70s, of course, brought change with 235, the introduction of 235. Traffic on the alley was substantially reduced. The 60s, 70s, and 80s saw typical decline in the central city, and the events of the 90s completely changed Automobile Alley. The bombing, the Main Street program, and the application for Automobile Alley to become part of the register. This is an example, and there are many. Top left is the Greenlease Cadillac building in 1995. In 2012, it looks like this bottom right slide. And this is a tax credit project. There are 31 tax credit-worthy projects in Automobile Alley. It takes all sorts. This is the womb, courtesy of the coins, and you can see the you can see the symbolic entrance to the womb right there on the doors, and a little circle up there somewhere. I don't understand what that's about. Being a man. The first incentive on Automobile Alley, the first businesses to go to work in Automobile Alley were businesses. Pioneers like the Preftakes, like the Fudges, like the Salyers, Rand Elliott, people that moved businesses into Automobile Alley. This is a representation of the businesses that are currently on Automobile Alley, and it's just a fraction. There are so many businesses located in our district. Shopping. Retail is one of those areas of development that we are so proud of. We have 10 very robust, thriving retailers in Automobile Alley right now, and they are represented by high-end bicycle shop to organic sweaters, from a wetsuit to an old English table. So, I mean, we have a tremendous variety of retail offerings on Automobile Alley. We are also very, very proud of our Eating establishments. You can't have a great district without having great restaurants, and Automobile Alley has 10 restaurants. We have a tremendous variety of restaurant offerings, but one of the themes that we will hear about today is how important it is to have local participation. All of our restaurants are locally owned, and here are some examples of them, and you know that you can get everything from a cupcake to a Chateaubriand on Automobile Alley. So we have this wonderful diversity of fantastic restaurants, all locally owned, all locally operated. Celebration. Automobile Alley, we don't just have a lot of activity within the buildings on Automobile Alley, but we have a tremendous amount of activity on the alley. Broadway is an activity space for us, and you will see on Broadway any number of events that are occurring annually, and they range all the way from the Martin Luther King parade with bands and a tremendous amount of vitality. We have the Gazette Halloween parade, the Christmas Festival of Lights, the Memorial Marathon, which just concluded a few weeks ago on the alley, a bicycle race next month, chocolate decadence, art show openings, and just a lot of stuff. 2012, what's going on right now? Right now we have an incentive to increase the number of on-street parking spaces on Broadway. We hope to add 200 spaces. We also hope to work in some 45-degree parking, narrow Broadway a little bit, slow the traffic. We are also involved in an incentive. We've joined the incentive to introduce the quiet zone, to stop the train whistles. We market Automobile Alley through web, print, and there's an insert, a tall insert in your packet. Please take it with you. Bid improvements, which include street improvements, and it's all done through a partnership with Downtown Oklahoma City, Inc., who are our management partners. We are an inclusive organization and an inclusive opportunity. We would encourage you, if you're local, you're looking for a place to invest, you want to help add to the huge success that we enjoy on Automobile Alley, please come see us. Thank you.
And it is spectacular at Christmas. I think you saw some of those. Thank you, Anthony. Now here to share about the revitalization of the Paseo District, a couple who has dedicated themselves to the creation and operation of the Paseo Arts District and neighborhood, and their own art gallery is spectacular there. Please welcome John and Joy Reed Belt.
We're talking about an artful journey about this particular spot. We got involved many years ago. The client came and he had a problem down there, and this old area was in need of serious help. So we got involved and decided that because of its scale, it should be a perfect place for an arts district. Created in 1929 by G.A. Nichols, where he designed the Spanish Village. 1929 was also, as you remember, terror for economic development. And so he moved into the 1930s. Many of the properties here and in Nichols Hills ended up on the tax rolls through mortgage foreclosure and the like. As it moved through the 50s and 60s, why the hippies were there and occupied it as their private domain during the late 1960s and early 70s. And it was in 1976 that we became involved. What you see at the top is what it was like in 1976. What you see below is what we've fooled with it about for the last 35 years. If the picture you saw in your magazine of Joy and myself was of the date that we started this, when she was getting her PhD, and it was 35 years ago. Each year, the Paseo Arts Festival is developed. This is an example of it. It comes up on Memorial Day, so you're all welcome to come to the festival this year. It's fun. It involves artists who are on the street, over 100 artists on the street, 20 galleries on the street, 3 restaurants on the street, and there will be artists from throughout the state and throughout the country as a part of our festival. As you see, the top here we used to be a dry cleaning operation, and it is now arts area, a restaurant, center for events and the like. What you'll see at the top of these images is what it was and what it is. This is now called Sauced. It was a part of the dry cleaning laundry operation for many years and is now a very popular pizza place. If we keep moving through this section of images, you'll see other pictures that tell you what it was. This was the oldest building on the street. It went back to 1912, and in redeveloping it, it was unlike what you've heard so far. I think that Larry could have built 8 Devon Towers in the period of time it's taken us to fool with this little street and make it an arts district. But that's a part of the game. It's for creating a district where artists can be and where artists can have a purpose in their own lives with all of these galleries. And this is another gallery. It was transitioned out of that old building that we saw just a moment ago. These are all very popular galleries. The first one had over 17 artists in it. This has 2 artists. This is a transition of what was a center median that we took last year and turned into what is a beautiful little plaza now. Glenda Goodacre is one of the great artists of our country, and that is one of her works, Sacagawea. There was a place called Paseo Plunge. We used to go swimming in when I was a kid. We could rent a bike over there. If you had 35 cents, you could get in. If you had another 15 cents, you could rent a swimming suit. And then we could swim in the pool, and it was just a wonderful open area place that was the only place for public like us to go. In the 1960s, it was transitioned into what was going to be a pizza manufacturing place where they would make the pizzas on the first floor, freeze the pizzas on the bottom floor, deliver them up in an elevator to the top floor, and then they would transition them throughout the country. And about the time they got that accomplished, Pizza Hut came to town, which was not a popular thing. What you saw below it was what we've done with it in the past 2 years.
And the building you see now is the Elms. It was the first art gallery in Oklahoma City. Nan Sheets, who President Franklin Roosevelt appointed head of the WPA for the arts, started the gallery there, and then she became the founder of the Oklahoma City Art Museum.
We also redeveloped the Paseo neighborhood, and we have a thing called Positively Paseo, that we redesigned the neighborhood to run a much larger district and accommodate together. That Positively Paseo has redeveloped or rebuilt over 30 homes in the neighborhood, and the neighborhood has been moving forward and thriving in recent years after the crush of the 1970s and 80s. And it's doing quite well. These are homes that have been redeveloped in the neighborhood by Positively Paseo. This is the old Harding High School that was closing about 8-9 years ago. We created Harding Fine Arts Academy as a charter school, and it occupies this with another charter school, Harding Charter Preparatory School. It's completely full. They're among the top schools in the state. This is work that's done with Harding Fine Arts students and the Paseo area, where we collaborate with the students in Harding to enable their fine arts program to be better. We also worked with Edgemere School, which was a smaller school you saw below it. Edgemere School is a small school, but it's 100 years old this year, built in 1912.
And these are some slides of celebrations that we have for children throughout the year. Stardance Swan cooperates with us, and we have the fairy ball and the magic lantern, and you see some of the children there. We have thousands of children that come. And this is our annual Artist Awards banquet. We've done this for 6 years now, and we accept nominations and honor artists throughout the state for their accomplishments. And in recent years, the Paseo Arts Association has received the designation of one of the top 10 neighborhoods in America by the American Planning Association, the most beautiful city by BBC in that list, and has also been honored by Forbes magazine and other things in the last 5 years.
Thank you, John and Joy. I never miss the Paseo Arts Festival. It's one of my favorite things to do. Next, we'd like to share about the revitalization of the Film District, and we have the Chairman of Claims Management Resources, Chip Fudge.
I think it's really appropriate that I followed John and Joy Reed Belt. John is probably one of the guys I consider my mentors in the development world. We started in Paseo and Jefferson Park about 20, 25 years ago, and I've always had the greatest respect for what he does and what they do. The last time I gave this presentation, I shared with everyone that it was the first PowerPoint I'd ever done. And I think I scared the mayor's staff a couple of days ago when I wanted to modify their agenda, and they told me I couldn't do that. And so I'm going to ask you to multitask a little bit, and our PowerPoint will run in the background, and I'll share our story about Film Row and just share our story. Historic Film Row is one of the 2 remaining film exchange districts left intact in the U.S. The other is in Kansas City. Film exchanges were regional distribution hubs where theater owners would come to screen a movie and then take the movie back to their local community. One of my good friends described me as the king of Skid Row. I mean, you are the king of Skid Row. And he did that when I started buying up properties over on West Sheridan. He thought I was nuts. My banker, Randy Royce, was a little concerned as well when he saw what I was buying and what he was financing. I like to tell people that I restore old buildings for fun and sometimes for profit, and I've done this for the last 25 years in addition to my day job as chairman of Claims Management Resources. Most of our projects have been very small residential and small commercial office buildings in Paseo, Jefferson Park, Crown Heights, Linwood. Some of our projects have been a little bigger: the Cameron Building, the Oklahoma Packard Motor Car Building on Automobile Alley, and now the Film Exchange District. The overriding theme for me, I want to put back together buildings that I consider have significant historic value to our community. Oklahoma is a young state, a little over 100 years old. From the 20s and 30s, the buildings that were built at that time, primarily during oil boom times, were buildings that have strong character, great craftsmanship, great lines, great bones. I love finding dilapidated, rundown projects and putting them back together again. The Film Exchange District, and specifically Historic Film Row, is one such project. Our architect, David Wanzer, approached me a few years ago, back in 2004 actually, and shared the history of the district, and I thought the district was something I could brand, had cool buildings, and it was the only part of the central business district that was not being redeveloped at the time. And it wasn't primarily because of the homeless issues and the challenges of the boarded up buildings. We actually did have a brothel in our district when I started buying property down there. Film Row project has been a little more complicated than our normal projects because they were combined with state and federal rehabilitation tax credits, and I can't stress enough how important those are. We could not have done Film Row without the state and federal tax credits, and every developer up here that has done a project, a historic building project, we have to have those to keep those going, and they would not be done without those tax credits. But we also use TIF money and GO bond money to get the infrastructure, the streets, the sidewalks, the landscaping all replaced. And the city was great to work with. Robbie Kinzel, Jim Llewellyn, AJ Kirkpatrick, Brent Bryan, Kathy O'Connor. I shared with Brent and Kathy, when I first signed my TIF deal with the city, it was a whole bunch of money for us, and I'm signing on this dotted line that we're going to put X amount of dollars in the district. Well, the reality of that is that we put double X to date, and we're still buying property down there. It really helped that Devin decided to build a little building 2 blocks down the street from us. It makes us look brilliant rather than some crazy guy rehabilitating old buildings on Skid Row. I'm also really excited about the John Rex School that is going into the blank urban renewal block. That will actually connect Film Row to the central business district. We have roughly 18 addresses in Film Row, 100 to 120,000 square feet. We only have one vacancy. The district previously was completely boarded up. We have one restaurant, Joy's Pizzeria, in the Film Exchange District, and I would argue it's some of the best pizza in Oklahoma City. I own part of it. A little plug there. Our business model is a little different than most. The tax credits are the primary driver for profit. The buildings we do may or may not come in under budget, but most of the time they get done, they get very close to cash flowing. I play a long-term hold versus the daily income model, and it is important to me to rehabilitate these properties to the correct standards than to come in under budget. I know that makes my bankers nervous every now and then, but I want them to be unique, correct for the period, and well done. We frequently use original items like the original lights and original architectural pieces, but we also use lots of glass and brush steel for a more modern retrofit. Two of our projects have won awards from the State Historic Preservation Office, the Packard Oklahoma Motor Building over at 8th and Broadway, and recently the Oklahoma Theater Supply Building. My biggest project to date is the Hart Industrial Supply Building, 40,000 square feet, which will be occupied by my company, Claims Management Resources. We are 90% we have commitments for 90% of the space, and we'll have 175 to 200 employees on Film Row within the next 6 to 9 months. I have enjoyed doing these projects. I do not consider myself a developer, and I laugh at that when I see it in the paper. I know I'm a novice compared to so many folks in town that are doing these things. I just love doing it. I see it as part of my legacy for our community. About 15 years ago, I had the opportunity to experience Leadership Oklahoma City, and the overriding theme of that experience was, if we as citizens didn't improve our city, no one else would. Zach Taylor challenged all of us to make our city a better place, and I credit Leadership Oklahoma City as providing the catalyst that sparked me and sparked the Renaissance time that we are all experiencing now. And by the way, my friend who laughed at me, who called me the king of Skid Row, he's investing in our latest project, and he's moving his company in there next year.
Well, that may be eye-opening for many of you who haven't had an opportunity to go down there and enjoy Joey's Pizza. So thank you very much, Chip. Okay, our next lightning round presentation will be the second part of a father-son team that we have. We're going to hear about the revitalization of the Plaza District. Here to give us an overview, please welcome the Executive Director of the Institute of Quality Communities, Blair Humphreys.
All right, excited to be here with you today. Was actually getting quite nervous, worried I was going to work up a sweat, so I turned down the thermostat. I hope you all are doing all right out there. I'm Blair Humphreys. I'm with the University of Oklahoma Institute for Quality Communities. I'm also a professor of urban design in the College of Architecture and am a new member to the Plaza District Association, which is my neighborhood. I live in Gatewood, which is just north of 16th Street. You can see the Plaza District is located about a half-mile west of Classen, and it's a small commercial strip. You have about 2,000 households within a half-mile radius, with both the Gatewood neighborhood on the north and Classen Tenpin on the south. The district was formed in about the 1920s. It was just basically neighborhood retail services, pharmacies, bar, I guess casino gambling was neighborhood services at the time, as well as Plaza Theater, which you can see there with the sign. Also had a streetcar route coming through right in the area around when Paseo was being built. Throughout the 1950s, 1960s, of course, Penn Square Mall was developed. The neighborhoods continued to move north, up Classen, up Northwest Expressway, and on farther north still. And it really started to take its toll on the district. Downtown was no longer the place to be. And over time, the results hit the Plaza District. You can see here that when people moved out of the buildings, the stores moved out, there was not much going on except crime. And, well, in truth, we did have some business. Entrepreneurs were working the street corners regularly. We also had a thriving industry and the world's oldest profession, but that is no longer with us. You can see what it was in the early 1990s. Does this look like a place that anybody would want to be, or that anybody really had hope could be something more? And yet there was a group called Planning to Stay in 1996. Now, mind you, a lot of times we think of the historic districts, historic neighborhoods right around downtown Oklahoma City as having something special because of their connection to Oklahoma City. That was not the case in 1996. That was before the ballpark opened. Is Susan Hogan here? Is Susan here? Susan, stand up, Susan. So as you can see, this Jane Jacobs quote, I think, exemplifies Susan led an effort planning to stay. It involved many stakeholders, many partners, but they got the ball rolling. You can see here Lyric Theater. That was something championed by Lou Kerr in 2000. This was an idea that she had. She got people around the idea that they could take the Plaza Theater, breathe new life into it, and really create an anchor not just for Lyric Theater, but also for this district and this neighborhood. Here you see the streetscape improvements. This was part of that stakeholder group's effort, working with the city. Councilwoman Ann Simak led this effort. GO bond was approved, about $2.3 million in around 2001, ultimately implemented in 2003. You can see just the dramatic change that makes. Developers like Jeff Struble and Tarina Self got active. After the city had made the investment, the civic institutions had made the investment, developers came in and they began to breathe new life into the storefronts. You can see here just an example of some of the now active business storefronts. And that continues. We have a range of businesses, everything from hair salons to tattoo shops, and everything else working in the district. We'll see, I'm not quite sure what. I promised if I got ahead of myself, I'd just pretend the clicker was broken. So we'll see how that works. So if the before and afters aren't enough proof, I want to tell you a little bit about what's going on in the district today. Coming together is the beginning. That happened about 16 years ago, and they've been keeping together ever since. And now there's really a sense in which a community has emerged that is working together on a regular basis. And I really think it's one of the most exciting districts in the city today. You can see here what I think kind of the identity of the Plaza District that has emerged. It's young, creative, artistic, organic, local, and it's very diverse. I would say it's probably the best example of a mixed-use community in the city today. In fact, I would offer that it is the only place that you can take a date out for dinner, catch a show, buy a t-shirt, dance the night away to live music, have too much wine, and wake up with a tattoo. A lot of this is made possible by a very well-oiled organization led by Kristen Vels. Kristen is over here somewhere. I won't make her stand and embarrass her. They have everything. They really partner with the local businesses. They have Keep It Local is based here. So they have different organizations, Midwest Media. They have all these organizations that are contributing on a regular basis. So they have a great website. They have great videos. They have great events. They have great shops, and the shops help each other out. They work together. You can see here Collected Thread. There's DNA galleries. There's new restaurants, everything from Irish pubs to urban wineries and everything in between. Events have been a big part of this. Live on the Plaza, or this would be the Plaza District Festival, which is offered in the fall of each year. It attracts over 5,000 attendees, lots of local artists of all different types, lots of activities for children. This is a great event, and these great events, whether it be Live on the Plaza, which happens the second Friday of every month, or the Plaza District Festival, these help bring people to the district, help keep the shops doing well, and ultimately just provides an amenity for everyone. You can see here's the stats that you need to know. 135,000 square feet of commercial space, 32 businesses, 100% occupancy, and the district's doing all of that on only a $100,000 annual budget for the organization itself. So that's the Plaza District. I hope you'll come see us. If you haven't been there yet, it really is worth checking out. June 8th, I believe, is the next Live on the Plaza date. So we hope you'll be there. It should be a good time. Thank you very much.